computer. Okay, for coffee making, everybody knows England is a tea country and the Netherlands is a coffee country. What's actually not true because we don't drink as much as other countries, but we're very fussy about our coffee. There's a way of making coffee. This is a way of coffee, and it's basically Brexit, so that can go. But saying that, instant coffee, whatever you use, can be very helpful on a trip. So if you use something to drink and you have not much time, you don't want to have fuffing about with all kind of equipment, instant coffee, they're beautiful flavors, works a treat for what it is. But again, choose for what your purpose is, what you're going to do. So if you have time, you want a proper coffee, use something else. If you have, for example, not much time, like I have to do an assessment for the Duke of Edinburgh, have to walk on a hill on the moors and go back quickly, and I just want a hot drink, I use probably instant coffee instead of making and fuffing about with proper coffee.
Simple thing, Mark-Jan, take hot water rather than a drink, because then with that you can make your coffee, you can make your tea, you can make soup, you can do what the hell you want with it. Exactly.
So that is a point of thinking. Okay, coffee making are a couple of machineries and things you can use to make coffee. Of course, you have in the house all types of machinery you can plug it in and it percolates. One of the things I like about coffee is, again, if you have a fixed camp and everybody is waking up and you have plenty of time, you can use one of those percolators. This is a very big one. And this is a little 4-man cup, they say, small. What you do is filling up with water. If I change the camera a bit, here you can see hopefully a bit more. This goes in. You put the coffee in here, lid goes on. It's a percolator principle. And when the water starts boiling, it goes to a little pipe, and you can see inside this plastic glassy stuff that the water becomes darker and darker and darker. Those take quite a long time to make, in my opinion, a proper strong coffee. But it is the percolated way of doing it. But it's beautiful to have those things on your campfire and everybody's waiting and sitting and have a joke and whatever. So for that purposes, perfectly. You can use them also on a gas stove, obviously, but it takes a bit longer. Another form of percolator is little ones. Again, you have to unscrew. Water in here. You put the little filtery in, coffee in there, and it should go. This one has an extra filter. You have to screw it up. On a heat source, those are very good for electric, gas, and that kind of stuff. And I'm not sure if you can see it. You can see the little hole here. There is the coffee slowly coming out and filling this pot. When this is empty, this should be full. And then you have a 1-man, very strong, pouring your coffee. This one is good for espresso grinds. So another thing of coffee is the grind. So I use beans. But as I show you, this is what we call snel filter maling, or filter, very fine coffee grind. It's very good for drip filter, for coffee machines, or even on this one, because it is nice and fine. The espresso coffees is extra finer than this one, than the filter coffee. I like this brand. It's basically very cheap, very good, cheerful, no problems. But again, as your taste change, everybody has his own flavors, strengths of coffee, and do it that way. We all know in the house, we have all, most days, the Parisian, they call them, I think. Most people call it Parisian, or the press down, or the, what you say? Cafetière is glass. You can have them in plastic, but you see the handle. So these are not really good to take with you camping unless you have a big van or whatever.
Don't know.
So what you do is you find them in an old
Oh,
one.
no, the bomb might be in the garden.
Can somebody mute themselves, please?
Sorry, it's me.
I found this one, and I think this is my most expensive one. I think it was 40p, isn't it, on a car boot sale. And I put a little, there was a little hole here. I put silver in it and basically soldered the double wall again, so it works. I think that was more than the whole thing. But as again, stainless steel, works like a treat. We use it quite often on summer camps with the scouts where we don't have to move and whatsoever. Again, press. The way what I do normally in this kind of machines, also with this one, I put some warm water in it in the first place, so the glass or the flask or whatever I use, because this is another one. This is something went on the Bliss Trail, 800 miles, and we make our coffee in it if we all want a coffee. I heat it up a bit, and then when the water is boiling, it's finished, I throw away this water, put the coffee in, put the hot water in after the boil, and then you give it a really good stir with just a simple spoon. You stir it, leave it for a while, so it's, and then you press it down. Or this one. Another one is a 1 cup one. This is basically, you can straight away drink out of it. So here you can make your coffee in, you wait, and again you press, and then you can zip it up on the go if you want. You can lock it. So as you can see, I like my coffee. Same principle, but smaller, and I like this one very much. It's just a cup, and it has a filter in it as well. So you put the coffee in, you can put your tea leaves in or whatever you want to make, you brew it, and you press the grinds down. So again, a nice way of making coffee where you press things down. Everybody was wondering why this jet boil is here, but in principle, this is also a press. So you boil your water, throw the coffee in, and there's your press again. So that's a way of making coffee for more people than me, because this is a big pot to drink coffee out. Then you have drip coffee, and again, a very traditional way of making coffee. I showed you the filter, but this is a very traditional way. You put this one in, you put a coffee filter. The disadvantage of it is you have to use paper coffee filters. Paper coffee filters go in. You need that Snell filter. That's what we call, that's pressure grind for this type of coffee. You put the coffee in. This one fits actually on a flask, the right shape for it. That's why I didn't throw it away. Put it in, pour the hot water in, and you have a nice cup of coffee. Just a gentle tip for making coffee with the paper bag is I make the bag, put a little bit of water in so the paper is already wet. Then I put the coffee in. So when you pour in the coffee, it doesn't, the taste of the coffee, the strong part of the coffee goes straight in the pot instead of in the paper. That's what I found. I can taste it. I'm sorry about it, but I can taste those things. And another way of using the coffee is basically if you, let's say this is the hot water bottle, you pour it in. A lot of people pour it in straight in. I go from the sides as well. So you actually pour back the coffee. So all your coffee you're going to use is in this drip. amazing, but you have to throw this away, and you have to use those paper ones. If you're pedaling and your bikes are leaking, you have a problem because there's no filters. So this one I showed you on Tuesday comes with a filter from stainless steel. Another one is the Jaffa one, is from a little bit of plastic. I find it a bit fluffy and fluffy, which it's like a stocking kind of stuff where you put the coffee in. But as you can see, you have to balance it on your cup. And it can drip, so it depends on how stable you are and how well this. Another one is a drip filter from stainless steel. If I can open this part. Is again stainless steel, folded open, the sides come out, and I find this a bit easier, and also the drip goes in. Again, put a little bit of coffee in, pour around it, and it drips through. Really lovely coffee, and whatever. Another one people maybe recognize if they went to Vietnam, or if you know Pacific France. Filter. Here you put your coffee in, make the coffee a bit wet, stamp pressure in it, sits on it, pour it into the, and wait till it all drips down. Perfectly coffee again. Again, drip coffee. Another one is the AeroPress. We all probably know. I don't use the paper anymore. I have a filter of stainless steel. I still have the papers in plastic when I bought it. I bought straight away one of them because they're reusable. A lot of people, it's just like a syringe, isn't it? Can everybody see? Yeah, I have to do this more. It's basically a syringe. They recommend to put it on the cup, pour it in, and then try to fiddling around this way. And you can see how difficult it is to get this in with hot water. I noticed sometimes the water came out, the coffee. So I do it the upside down method. But again, you have to be knowing what you're doing. This is the way I do it. Put the coffee in, hot water in, give it a stir, let it stand for a while. And please remember to put the filter back on, because it wouldn't be the first time I just throw it over and I still have to grind in my cup. Filter. I do this because it makes it a bit safer, in my opinion, than try 1, 2, 3, oops. And then you press it down, and by the pressure, you can, it's really tough, this one. You press basically the water out. This one is not really working very well. They came out with a new version, and of course, this is everything. For the filters, again, the filter, the machine, but this is actually your cup, so you can drink it from this one. And this one is a bit easier to do. Press again here. I put the filter in, stainless steel. To grind my coffee, I found something on Amazon, a little coffee grinder. Put the coffee beans in there, and it's basically grind your coffee. You can change the grindings. It's basically pepper, salt, milk. You can use for everything, but I use mainly for coffee. The nice thing is, this is a little better one. That was £7. This is a bit more expensive. It fits in the AeroPress. They basically, the size are made for the AeroPress machines. This is a little bit better brand, and this is the one I use basically every day, every morning. Grind the coffee, and this is enough for me to fill this one up, or this is 1 cup of coffee for me. This brand is called Rubitech. I thought it was a Swiss company, but it seems to be that it was set up by a friend of mine who runs Beaver Sport, a company in the Netherlands. I used to know his father, and it seems his son was doing it. So I was very pleased, and it's very nice one made. I think that's enough of coffee, except you don't need all those gadgets, because there is another way of making coffee. If you have just a simple cooking device or a billy kettle, let's use a billy kettle. Coffee in, water in, and just stand it to boil, or in a little kettle where you can pour it out easier, is what we call boerenkoffie or farmer's coffee. You just leave it in there, you tip out what you need, and you fill it up with water again and let it basically boil. Maybe cowboy's coffee or whatever they say. The disadvantage is you can taste coffee grinds in your coffee because it comes with it. There are people who say you have to circle it around, and then bang it. That's an option. If you have grind coffee and you don't have any of these devices or filters, or you lost your filter or whatever reason, if you want to put your coffee back to the ground, what you do is take a spoon, a little bit of cold water over your spoon, and what that cold water attracts the coffee grind and drags it to the bottom. So again, you don't need all the gadgets. You can do it very simple and primitive. Are there any questions? AeroPress.
The milk frother.
Milk frother, we have to go to the other station studio, because I can't find my frother for making milk fluffy on the stove, because I'm not really fussed about it. I use little cups with milk, coffee milk from the Netherlands, but you can buy them here in England in pound shop. I found them, little plastic cups with just enough coffee cream for 1 cup. Again, you have to be aware, don't throw it in nature. You have to, what you bring with you, you have to bring out of obviously. But yeah, come to sit for a second.
Okay, so it's a non-stick lined milk jug. You fill it up, you can see the fill line, that's probably a bit too much. Heat your milk up, and then, sorry, the dog really likes this because she likes frothy milk. Once your milk's hot, you push that inside, push it up and down, and it fills to about there with milk froth. As you can see, our dog knows all about this. Okay.
Okay, I think somebody posted.
You can do it with a cafetiere as well.
Yeah, but you have to have 2 cafeteras, one for the coffee.
Right. One for coffee, one for milk.
Okay. Somebody said AeroPress also do a travel version. I think this is the one. It's
the red one.
AeroPress Go, it's called. It's a bit, actually, I can show you. You can see the size is a bit smaller of the plunger. And the actual one is also, this one is the old one, this is the new one. Good. Gonna make some coffee now. Any other questions?
Yvonne's just made a comment about if you find soy milk separates oat milk.
If vegetarian finds soya milk separates in coffee, use Oatly instead.
Yes, so Oatly do something called barista. So because when we use our soya milk in coffee, it separates out and goes lumpy. But Oatly barista works really well.
Okay, that's good to know.
And that's oat milk as opposed to soya milk.
That's a good one, because I find sometimes if you pour in milk or those types of milk, it makes the oil in the coffee a bit strange. And if you want proper coffee, but that's a good tip. Anybody?
And it also keeps better than milk.
That's why I have those little cups, because you don't have to use them in the fridge. But then again,
Yeah.
one of them is enough. Take the loads of them with you. You have to be careful that they don't blow away or people just throw them on the floor.
Yeah.
That's not good. We don't want that. Okay. Any questions or?
Is there any way you can sensibly use dried milk, Marvel or whatever, to make it work properly for drinks?
Yes. Actually, in the Netherlands, we have a brand called Completa, and they have a commercial called 1 spoon of Completa makes your whole day complete. It's basically a powder, what you use specific for the coffee, but I would prefer then to use proper milk powder, and that works as well. But milk powder will have the tendency to make a little bit of clutter a bit. So stir it in slowly. I wouldn't just plop some in, because unless you like lumps in your coffee, but you can use that same milk powder in your food or for pancakes or whatever you need. So yes, milk powder works, I found, for coffee making. And as I said,
you're using milk powder, Mark-Jan, mix it up into milk before you add it to anything.
yes,
That way it doesn't go grainy or clumpy. You can at least get it done.
but then again, I think you use milk powder when you don't have the opportunity to have long life milk with you or have milk at all with you. So you need maybe some water to use instead.
A comment has come in, saying that you must add cold water to milk powder before using it.
Okay. So mix milk powder in cold water first. That makes sense. But if you pour it slowly in your coffee, but then again, do you try milk powder in your tea? That could be an option.
It's not very nice. There must be a better way of doing it, but better than nothing.
Have to experiment.
So you have to experiment what works for you, and the best way is experiment actually at home with what you have, so you're not disappointed on your trip. Because if that means your whole trip is spoiled because you have your favorite drink is not there anymore, again, practice at home, do it, try it, and ask what other people are using. And well, nowadays you're not allowed to ask anything 2 meter distance, but you could try and taste maybe and say, well, give me a bit of your coffee or give me a bit of that milk, and try it out. And if it is something you like, make a note of it, make a picture and use it.
May I add a tip?
Of course, Graham, go ahead.
If you put your sugar into your cup first, especially brown, like Demerara sugar, and then put a tiny bit of hot water, boiling water in first, and give that a stir, that then basically becomes syrup water. So then when you pour your coffee in, you'll get a caramel syrup coffee.
Well, we have a connoisseur here as well. That's lovely.
I'm 48. I'm picking up accents there. I was born in inner city Nottingham. If anybody knows Hyson Green, I was born in the flats in Hyson Green. But my ma's side of the family are from a lovely place called Newark-upon-Trent. And we were poor, but we were taught how to cook as kids. So it's something I've always done that kept, well, what you put in is what you are. And so cooking to me, it's the number one thing. So this is beautiful to hear all this. What a lovely community. So yeah, when it comes to cooking, as I say, like keep it simple, but it's all the joy of it as well. And I don't weigh things really unless I'm doing a specific loaf of bread, cook my loaf. But other than that, so yeah, when you say connoisseur, it's just, oh, and as I say, I've been taught around the world sort of thing, should we say, to sort of cook in a kind of way. So again, but it's, as we say, it all goes in the pot. So yeah, anyway, thank you. I'm not a connoisseur as such, but I could just cook, you know, I could put food in your belly. Anyway.
Okay.
So Mark-Jan,
yes.
We've got a Stanley flask that has a cafetiere in it that keeps coffee hot all day.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the problem is, of course, coffee doesn't last all day, does it? So this is just short of 1/2 litre.
Yeah.
So it's a thermos, a thermal, stainless steel thermal. You have the cafetiere bit is literally just this little cage with a, I think it's a metal mesh filter in the bottom. So make your coffee as normal in there, in the top, push down. I won't push it down because it doesn't go down when it's dry. Push it down, and then you have a lid. Okay. So that's your drinking lid. Yeah. Then you've got the sealing lid on the top of that, and once that's all done up, that stays. Well, if you don't drink it, that will stay warm pretty much all day. And the other good thing is, if you capsize, it floats.
That's always
Yeah, yeah.
So,
A tip to add, if you've got, I'm looking at the chap there, again, I could just see a name, as I say, I'm brand new to it, so Yvonne Chapman and your chap there, hello. With those specific single skin metal flasks, if you get a tea towel or a towel and just wrap it round, that will, for a hot drink, that will keep it warmer, hotter, for probably about an extra 4 hours longer. And on the other end, if it's a cold liquid inside, even frozen, again, by wrapping a towel or a tea towel around the outside, that acts as another thermal layer, so it'll keep it colder longer, and on the other end, hotter longer.
Better still use surplus carry mat or something like that.
Yeah.
Also, it floats even more, so that
it floats even more. Yes.
Yeah. Any layer is as we know a heat retention.
it's always good to protect metal flasks from denting, because like flask, if they dent, the outer skin and the inner skin can touch. There's a leak. But if you put something like an old neoprene sock, or if you have an old neoprene wetsuit you don't use, and you can use cut off the leg to protect, or that gray stuff what you can use of the tubes from your pipes and things, or the scaffolding pipes, they have this ones as well. It also floats. It gives more flotation to the flask. And if you have it in your canoe or kayak because you want it handy for whatever reason, you capsize.
Scaffold pipe floats.
That yellow one, yes. Not the scaffolding pipe itself, but that yellow stuff they put around nowadays because it's some health and safety regulations.
Yeah.
People.
Some miserable sod like me. Yes, I know. Thank you.
No, I think it is the mobile devices are not helping because they stare on it and it doesn't get a signal anymore. So, okay, let's go on. If anybody else wants to add something to this recording, please.
Yeah. The cake's ready to show you all.
Okay, let's wait for the cake for a second. We stop this recording.
If anybody wants to know, Ireland are winning 13-6.
No.
Don't want to know.
Okay, it's not helpful. Okay, let's. If nobody has anything for coffee, I stop this recording so the coffee machine is then ready, and we go back to the cooking.
Okay.